word on purpose, like
Uh,
podcast day.
good shit.
Podcast day is
That's good energy.
yeah.
Around the clock, scientists and engineers are battling with this virus.
It's not my fault I was.
Hmm. And nice to have the sky back.
This whole world's turning into Palestine. Desensitizing the mind, keeping the masses in a loop of time, while the rich elites get away with the crimes against humanity, with arrogance and vanity. This is insanity. Genocide is at the border. This is law and murder by executive order. Shoot to kill like they do all the animals. Beat down the activists and the radicals. This'll
Yo, I'm gonna run this back, Zero. It's fucking pretty dope. We're just gonna allow a couple more people to join in. We got people coming in right now.
Cool. Yeah, what we're doing right now is we're previewing my new single, Global Pandemic. It should be out in probably another week. I'm going to try to shoot a video for this. Not like it's going to be a lyric video. It's not really going to be a video like me in front of the camera trying to rap on. It's going to be a lyric video because I'm focused on lyrics. But yeah, Global Pandemic. Check it out.
Around the world, around the clock, scientists and engineers are battling with this virus.
It's not my fault I was born with this brown face. It's not my fault that my ancestors didn't understand your concept of race. Dislike a man just because of his tan. Now it's illegal and banned to want to live on your own land. They strip away our children just to plant the seeds of fear in them. U.S.-sponsored terrorism with the force of a Gestapo. No heart like a narco, black hearts like a lump of coal. Waving your American flag, how angry and mad as ICE takes away an immigrant dad. This whole world's turning into Palestine. Desensitizing the mind, keeping the masses in a loop of time, while the rich elites get away with the crimes against humanity, with arrogance and vanity. This is insanity. Genocide is at the border. This is law and murder by executive order. Shoot to kill like they do all the animals. Beat down the activists and the radicals. This'll teach them to even question the rule of law. But thieves and liars will eventually fall.
Absolutely.
Wow, guys, that's just a sneak peek right there, guys.
That song was produced by Lemon from Quinto Sol. Like I went to his studio one day and I said, I have these lyrics that I wrote. And I wrote these lyrics. I wrote Global Pandemic in 2020. Half of it I wrote in
and
2020.
guys, this whole Palestine thing, it's been going down, right, Zero?
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. I wrote this song in 2020. I waited 4 years to release it. Just because I felt like, the global pandemic is not over, bros. Like you think it's like, oh yeah, we get to go to bars and we get to go to do this and we get to go to it's just the beginning. And really what the pandemic is a philosophy. A philosophy that puts people of color underneath people in power under colonial structures that happen to be white people. I'm not saying that it's all white people. I'm saying look at the colonial structures. And when you look at them all, and some of them are hidden, which are more on the African side. So there's a global pandemic of ignorance. That's the pandemic, is that we're falling in line because we're ignorant to a lot of things. And that's what this single is focused on. So
LA Natives Podcast,
LA
Las
Natives.
Aslan Natives Podcast. We got Sky in the building.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing, everybody?
What up?
We got Zero in the building.
What up? What up?
Yo, I loved J Dilla Day LA. It just that sound drove me insane, Zero.
Man, like
I want to talk to Scooby. You know, I love the dude. Rhymefest. It's all about Rhymefest this year. Scooby got one of the dopest lineups in underground hip hop history. But god damn it, Scooby, let's get a better venue, because if it was at a better venue, I think it would have been just a lot more better for the fans, right, Zero?
yeah, I mean, but the vibe was
The vibe was there.
You know what, Scooby? He has a great idea, because that's what we're doing with the Ocali, is that he want to create environments where you can smoke freely. And unfortunately, some of the venues, like if you go to the Ford Theater or if you go to any of the venues, like, well, maybe not the Palladium, but they don't want to go to the Palladium because it costs like fucking 20. I don't know. It costs a lot.
A lot of venues are very strict on smoking cannabis
Exactly.
inside their clubs.
That's what I mean. And
Anything
I think that's why Scooby's like, well, let's rent this
But
warehouse.
you know what was
and,
dope?
And get to do our thing. Yeah, shout out. Thank you for letting me in too, Armando. It was a cool event. This
Bro.
guy went with me.
You know, we were
event.
quite possibly the only hip hop outlet, underground hip hop blog, supporting that event on a massive scale. Because, you know, Jay Dilla, he's a legendary producer. He's worked with so many people in the underground and in the mainstream.
Right.
Yep.
It was cool to
Right?
see. It was cool to see all the influencers that were there, and
His mom came out.
yeah, all that. You know,
Mama
And,
was
and you know, it's crazy. As a promoter, as a blogger, as a hip hop journalist, the homie Big Twins went up to me from Mob Deep, infamous Mob Camp, huge influential East Coast artist, and he's like, "Yo, man, like, you know, we already know underground hip hop blog kills it. You know, you guys should do shows here. They allow you to smoke." And I just looked at the homie. I'm just like, "Look, dude, like, the sound is horrible in here. I am not going to put our fans to do that." You know, so shout out to all the dope venues. Even shout out to Zero at Mono 9 Superfoods, because, like, you know, I always see that whenever you throw shows there, you always want to make sure there's at least quality sound there.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's important. The you know, for a warehouse like that, you just got to go big. You got to get the most professional sound guys so that they know where to put the speakers, and it just costs a lot of money. The more the production, the more it costs. But overall, the environment, the vibe, it was cool. It was cool.
Hell yeah, it was cool. It was a lot of cool people. Just the lighting, everything was really there. And then SC came out, and SV came out. That was hella dope.
Yeah.
To see them do their thing. Like, I've been a big fan of SV, so that was very.
Man,
very
Slum
cool.
Villages, dude, those lyrics are iconic, man. Like,
Hell
I used
yeah.
to like vibe out on those records, like when I was young, smoking weed all day. Just, man, Slum Village is some of the most therapeutic hip hop I think for me I've ever heard in my life.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you to the blog.
But you know, production. You know, that's what Jay Dilla was known for, right? Predominantly. But like when it comes to underground hip hop, when I was younger, just guy, you know, I was a big El Vu head. I used to listen to Zero's group like religiously as an addict of hip hop, bro. It just like completely changed my perspective in life when I was listening to their lyrics. Zero's lyrics,
You should bring in Daniel.
E Rise's lyrics,
Daniel Hawk.
Brother,
lyrics. At one,
I'm enjoying the conversation.
you know, I thought that, you know, Victory was like a vicious MC. I used to tell Zero when I was thinking, hey man, like, where's Vic? Where
Yeah.
I mean, when I was writing with Victor and Eric, that dude was relentless. Like, he just used to always write. He was just always writing, good at getting ideas. And the cool thing about being in a group with 3 people is that you bounce ideas off each other. And I never really wrote that way. I kind of like to zone in on what I do.
So
But
you know,
him and Victor used to do that all the time.
mentioning that, who produced all the beats? Sky, do you know who produced all the Blue beats?
I do not.
I do.
Zero, man, right here.
Yeah, I
You
produced.
produced some of the dopest beats you'll ever hear in your life.
Yeah,
it was
when
just it was just like right. It was perfect timing, right, Zero?
Yeah, because, you know, when you're an
Because
artist.
they're not cheap. It's not whack music, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Timing is key, right, Zero?
Well, I think that when you're an artist and you hear what's out there in the mainstream, and you go like, well, I could take elements of those things and try to create an original sound. And that's what I tried to do with Jaguar Prophecies. You can hear all these albums for free on YouTube. So the albums Jaguar Prophecies, Evolution.
And on Spotify.
Yeah, on Spotify as well. And, during the time we were performing, I felt like it was going over people's heads because not everybody was in a ceremonial mode where we're going to ceremony a lot or we're reading these books and challenging these ideas. This is how we get to LA Natives. This is the road we took to LA Natives, is doing a lot of ceremonies, reading a lot of books, questioning a lot of realities.
But you guys were amongst hardcore
And those were
LA underground MCs competing with those guys, like competing with 2Maxes, competing. Like it was a competition to me because it's like ultimately, you guys were performing at all the dope little underground spots.
Yeah,
like social media didn't even exist, so
Dude,
it was weird how we even knew about these shows.
We opened up for Karis One at the Roxy, bro. Like that we played with the RZA at the Key Club. We did a lot of big things. It's just that people did not understand what the fuck we were saying. They didn't know about the alignment of 2012 and what the shift was gonna be. And now everybody all of a sudden is new age and they all know, what happened in 2012. But we were on 2012 in 2002. In 2002, we started writing about the shift of the earth and the cosmovision of the Maya and completing the 26,000-year cycle and changing the perspective of a whole globe. And if you don't think that happened, you guys forgot about COVID. That was a global thing. You see? And
your guys' music is more relevant today than you guys doing it 20 years ago. Bro, Sky, listen to this shit, you'll be fucking flipping out.
Nah, I feel like, my favorite song is Ciudad Celestial, and every time I listen to that song, it's like, you still can feel the energy.
No, that track, I consider that track some of his newer shit. Like, you need to listen to that.
I agree. I agree
bro.
too.
You need to listen to that Black and Red Ink.
I haven't trouble with that. I haven't gone by that.
Like, that's how far back, like, the true El Vu fans, the true Zero fans go back, Zero. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
2002.
But I don't know. And this is how far back it goes. Shout out to Fidel from Divine Forces Radio.
Absolutely.
And Seditious Beats. Because that's how I feel like I heard of Zero or I heard of El Vu. There was somewhere.
I'm going to reach out to Fidel.
I was listening to like Divine Forces when I was like, 16, 17 years old.
Sky, do you know what Divine Forces was?
No.
He was a
Daniel,
Mexica, right? He was a
remember?
Mexica.
Dude. Hey, Fidel was an essential part of the movement, and let me interject in here that I think there's something that's kind of not being said, is that I myself, I had studied in Mexico City and I just been illuminated. This was like in 1998. So when I ran into Ruben's music, and this was around, 2001, 2000, and it just tripped me out. I was like, whoa, what, how do you know about this? And so to me, El Vu was an instrument to educate people because the beats were just good. And I remember when I first went to Ruben's house and I was tripping, like, he had a little studio there and everything. And then what honestly would trip me out the most is he had this little thing on the wall. I was like, hey, what's that, Ruben? He goes, oh, I went to school. I learned to be an engineer. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? You really? I just tripped me out. I was like, oh, you're serious, man? He goes, oh, yeah. I did. And so to me, and I considered myself somewhat, I want to be successful. But I saw Ruben. I thought, man, this guy, he's got all the elements to succeed and he's on the right track. And so I just thought, I felt like, man, I'd met a kindred soul, And so it just was a beautiful time because at that time, I don't think we had any limitations on what, we had no limitations. Really, we're just like consciousness was just freeing our mind. And I was traveling a lot and he was beginning to travel and we just decided to look up. We're traveling the same places. And then he was saying, singing about what I was trying to teach in my clothing. And so it just was I just think the timing was everything,
Right. Like I said, as much as I like to take credit for what happened with El Vu, it was really the stars, right? It was really our belief in looking in a mirror and going, whoa, how I became how I was put on this red road was, believe it or not, a National Geographic documentary on the Maya. And just the intro of it changed my life. Because before that, I had no idea what that was. What is that? What is? And then the math, the complex math, and I went, well, if there was complex math, none of that documentary taught me anything. It just had these little bits and pieces, these little fragments of things like the complex math. That's it. That's all they said. And then I went, well, what does that mean? And then I met Daniel.
So
And
that's
then
kind of
he-
what like sparked. It was that spark for you in a sense.
Just what did they mean by a sophisticated mathematics?
Wait, but Ruben, here's the thing though: is that for me, when I was studied in Mexico, it was the opposite. They told me it was simple, but then they showed me the simplicity to it because people that don't understand it will tell you, "Oh, it's complicated." And I'll never forget this. I remember going back and dealing with one of those fools from the Mexica movement, and I say a fool because he said, "Well, it's very complicated." And I said, "Oh, okay, tell me how it's complicated." And he couldn't explain it. And I thought, okay, but I had just gotten back from the school, and so man, I was ready to have good conversations and like. But the thing is that if you come from the truth, because people would always tell me, "Hey, do the math," and I'm like, "All right, let's do the math," and then they'd look at me in bewilderment, and I'd be like, "Well, let's do the math," and they didn't. It was just a term that they would use, but the math is simple because it begins with us. Here's the first say, oh man, yay! Like we begin to count in our own language, and it's kind of like this, Ruben. And this is why I think of it. You and I, we're like just when the rain comes and you don't see anything, and then the sun comes, and all of a sudden you see all this little green stuff sprouting. Because we're there waiting to get the light. And once the light hits us and everything works in unison, we just blossom because we're descendants of the sun. So the sun is sending us this frequency. And that's when I learned they taught us that the sun is moving at a different frequency right now than where we were back then. And so as it moves us through the frequency, we're vibrating at that level at a greater how do you say a higher frequency because we have melanin that we're melanin. And the thing that's funny about this is that Ruben, you look at you and me, and bro, you're white and I'm red. Like if you look at us genetically,
Mhm.
but you're not a white person. Does that make sense, Ruben? Because you're from us. Your melanin makes you vibrate at the frequency that I'm at. We're at the same vibration, and look at Sky, who's next to you, and then as well, I know Armando, who's on all this vibration, and Armando's probably lighter than you. I've never been, but you say it, so I'm just you're explaining that. Once,
Well, I'm glad you got there, and let me interject about that because I've been
yeah,
really
yeah,
meditating. I've been really meditating on what that means, right? Like the melanin, the this, the that, the other, whatever. And it's really, let's try to erase the fact that I'm not saying that you should forget your genetics or you should forget your lineage or any of this, but what I want you to do is go a step above it and just think of people as people who know things, people who practice things. Because when you meet a teacher who knows Qigong or who knows Tai Chi or who knows these things, when you combine them with what you already know about your own culture, you'll see how far back we go,
right.
right? So we have to get above, I'm from this region of land and this is my color and this is my. Now we have all that. And those that are lucky enough to live on their lands and know that and know everything you need to know about that, that's a blessing beyond if you can crack the colonial code,
Right.
right? And that colonial code is whatever educational structures, spiritual structures, mathematical structures, economic structures, all those things that they created with their mathematics or their version of math or their version of spirituality. That's what we need to just completely wipe off and go back to whatever little principles that we can get, and you'll see how they multiply.
Right.
And it's just the basic math. Once we get the concepts, we break the perspective and move forward with our own will.
Right.
So it's not about melanin. It's about practice. It's about discipline. It's about intent. It's about sacrifice. Those that go through those motions. When we were writing Jaguar Prophecies, it was Sweat Lodge, whatever Sweat Lodge they invited us, we were there.
Right. Right.
You know, we went to go play in Denver. They had a Sweat Lodge for us
Right.
there.
Right. Right.
I was like, let's go, let's go. And and when you go through these ceremonies, and not that I've been through crazy ceremonies and I do not claim to be a shaman, I'm not that. I'm just telling you what my experience is and how I applied them to me. This is what gives me the discipline that I have today. Right? And taking those ceremonies very seriously and applying them to my daily life. Whatever communications we got there, that's what I applied to my daily life. So what was the communication when I went to the Sweat Lodge? I was like, please tell me more about myself. I need to know more about myself by me. What do I believe? What resonates with me? What am I going to put to practice? Because it's going to give me one step. And that goes beyond, I'm from Honduras, I'm from China, I'm from the Philippines. Practice. Now, I'm in a specific practice. The practice that Daniel and I have been talking about for over 20 years. Right, Daniel? I have not changed.
No, exactly.
I have not changed from my road since the first day I met you, right?
Ruben, but I think what it is too, Ruben, is that like we are artists, you know. Like once I realized I was an artist, man, it like a light clicked in my head because it was like, man, I realized because then I was trying to explain to people that, you know, when you do labor, you do work, you're considered labor, you know, your work, right? But when you really begin to put your mind into your work, you become a craftsman. Well, when the craftsman puts their heart into their work, then that craft becomes an art. And so, you know, I think of that, you know, myself. And I was in a journey, and when I met you, there was no convincing you to, hey, Ruben, come on my journey. You were already on the road because, you know, obviously I was on the red road and you were on the red road. So we rode the road together, you know, and so it's it's the warrior path, you know, because the warrior sees another warrior and we look up. And that's the thing I want to, you know, emphasize that is it the colonial narrative, it's not that way. It sees another man and says, oh, it's competition. We never said that. That was never, the warrior was here about love and building that bond. Because when I saw you and we were on that same bond, and that's the unspoken is that we're on the same team. But that's the path of the warrior, because as a warrior, I resonate from my heart. You resonate from your heart. We're not being told what to do. We just react the way we're taught to react. And so the warrior path leads with their heart, which is kind of interesting. You know, today they call it Valentine's Day, but to us, you know, when a Mexica reaches their maximum vibration, we resonate from our heart. Like in the middle of the tonal machotl, there's our heart. Is our heart with 4 chambers. You know, I mean, that's the center. It's a metaphor for many things, but it's the heart. It's also the sun. It's creation, you know, and it's our belly button, because the serpent gives you life right into your belly button. It's your first serpent that gives you life. And so we too, Ruben, and you see it on your skin. We're the people of the serpent, you know.
Yo, shout out to the underground Mexica movement of the
Right.
2000s, dude.
Amen. Hey, the largest tribe in North America. The largest tribe by far.
Like that term Mexica means a lot to me, bro, because
Well,
that's how I was questioning shit, bro, because of music like Zero's lyrics and like E-Rise's lyrics and then like 2Max's lyrics. And I was just like, damn, dude, everyone's talking about this shit. And then Fidel on Divine Forces Radio always wearing the Mexica gear. You know,
You know what, brother? Can I say you to me are the modern day Fidel? You know, you're doing what Fidel, the work that he did. You know, because I think Fidel was just a man.
that's weird because someone else told me that too.
It's
Well,
not weird, brother. It's not. It'd be like saying, "Hey, man, that girl's fine." Yeah,
I mean,
other
if it
people
wasn't,
recognize. You know,
if
Bro,
you're
it,
the
when I
man,
saw
brother.
Fidel, dude, like a couple months ago at Natani Means' event, bro, I was
yeah.
starstruck. Zero. I went up to the homie and I'm just like, damn, Ada,
Oh
Fidel,
man,
bro, you have no idea how
brother, you're giving
influential
me the
you were
chills right now
in my
because man,
life.
that guy is just a beautiful
Because
soul.
for me, I thought radio was everything when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
And it was kind of, right? Because there was no social media, right,
It's a
Zero?
vibration,
So only the
sacred
dopest
vibration.
cats could get on the radio, especially if they're promoting underground hip hop. Because he had an underground hip hop radio station.
Yeah,
But I think he like cut a segment every week about the Mexica movement. He was, he was a dude just repping it hard.
he was a warrior, brother. That
And
guy
then
is
I
a
guess,
hardcore
and I
warrior.
guess his playlist had Zero's music in it.
It did a lot of good.
And
You made
every
his
week,
playlist
bro,
be your down.
that's why I thought it was dope because every other week, like you would hear Elvu and Zero or Vic, and I'm just like, who are these fools? They're fucking dope.
Wow.
And
Like-
then that's how we were like, yo, we want to catch these fools live.
Right. Right.
Because they're speaking on shit that's like making us question shit. Like our parents are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, well, that guy gave me a platform, man.
well,
And after that,
I
you
hope,
know,
I hope
it would
didn't-
just be love.
I don't want you to tell you your parents are crazy, but I know what you mean by that. Like this reality isn't what my parents is telling me it is, right?
Yeah.
Because they're exploiting me. I don't have the same chances. Those are the same things that we struggled to when we found our identity. But the answer was not on how to figure out a colonial paperwork that's gonna free us from this bondage, because that comes with practice.
Yeah.
That comes with practice and
But
knowing.
that ties into being a first generation like myself, being in this country, and then like fully understanding that, dude, my parents were immigrants. My dad's from La Ruana, Michoacán, la tierra de ahí de
Right.
Mexico. You know,
Hey, but Armando, you're a
pura,
success story,
pura
brother.
pecha plan.
You know,
land
but
right
brother,
there, you know?
Armando, you're a success story, brother. And I think it's just, man, you know, you got to acknowledge, like, say, game recognized game, you know, and it's like,
Yep.
you think of that multi-generation that we have here, you know, like yourself, Sky right there with Ruben, you know, like, it's just that we gotta, like I said, I'm gonna go back to the warrior path, man. As warriors, we have to, you know, embrace each other and guide each other as well as learn from each other, you know, and not look at you as a threat, but see you as my strength, you know, because you guys, you know, Ruben has had my back many times in my life, man, and it was just like, dude, so it's like it's just second nature, you know what I mean? That's my homie, you know what I mean? But that my homie's me, you know, because it's, you know, my other me is you.
The
know?
first time I ever heard the term, shout out to the conscious Chicano. The first time I ever heard of the term Mexica Thiawi
Oh
was
yeah.
through Divine
Woo.
Forces Radio
Oh shit. Okay.
during them playing a segment of Elvu's music.
Right.
That's how I got introduced to that term.
Right.
And how old was I? I was what, 16, I believe?
Impressionable.
The cool thing about Divine Forces Radio is like they treated us like if we were like Psycho Realm, like if we were Immortal Technique,
2Max, you
2Max, all those big names. Like we were just, and so when we created music, we wanted to be at the caliber of a 2Max, a caliber of a
Wu-Tang,
Psycho
you
Realm,
know?
whatever it was. And he's like, dude, you guys are amazing. I've heard about this stuff and the mathematics and the science. And, you know, the beginning of those albums is really just us closing our eyes and letting the spirit just go through us, you know? Because they're not very solid in philosophy or any of that. That stuff is now. What I'm doing now, the global pandemic, I feel like that's what it is now. It's an evolution of it. But it was a very important time when we found spirituality and when we rode the wave of the 2012 energy.
Right. Right. Yeah, that was a big part of it.
Right? Because 2012 energy wasn't just, and you know, and when I'm gonna go deeper into the warrior thing, you know, the warrior path. Because you're right, Daniel. I mean, like you said, when you build a brotherhood, it's a bond. And that's what makes a warrior. And I was commenting to Sky earlier that, you know, even in all the Hollywood movies but they show the scene of all the natives and they all come together in a line like this. No one's in the front. No, and if they are, they're misrepresenting, because the reason why they all come in a line like this is because they're all equal. Each one of them has a bond with each other. Each one of them knows that if he's turned one way, the other one has the other way. He doesn't even have to ask. It's a bond. Like Daniel said, he's my homie.
Yeah.
He's my brother. I met him 20 years ago, but I didn't meet him up in my childhood. But we created a bond through the wave of 2012, which made us into warriors. And at first we thought that warriors were the brave ones.
Yeah, we got a question in the chat. How can a science of the mind, psychology, define all different races, mentalities?
Look, this is what I'll say on just races, right? If we look at the European narrative, which is colonial, which is oppressive, they had to call us Mexican, African, Asian, whatever, so that they can pride us against each other, right? Because we're going to automatically come to our own race, like it is in jail. You stick with your race in jail, from what I hear in movies, not by anybody specific.
Speaking for someone that's been in jail, bro, the minute you get in there, like I'm Sky, bro. God forbid, have you ever been locked up?
Nah, I haven't, but
Okay, A-Dog.
yeah,
I'm
walk me through it.
Okay, I'm just warning
I
you. Right
have.
now. The minute you walk in there, bro, and they all see you, your rep goes up to you and says, "Yo, you're running with us. Are you Sureño or are you a resident?" That was the question they asked me, bro.
Right, right.
Isn't that weird, Daniel? Right. That's like directly.
Yeah, I told
even-
you.
And the dude that was asking me questions, he had devil horns tattooed on his fucking head, bro, and
my
he was
God.
bald headed.
Crazy.
Oh
Jeez.
man.
But
But
you
you-
know, but
On
for
my
me,
end, it was the
you know,
cops that asked me that if I was north or south. You know, I
But
told
look,
them it
to
didn't
get
matter.
back to this question of this chat, is that, you know, when we look at books from institutions, and when we study the institutions, who set up these institutions were done by Rockefeller, Carnegie, DuPont, and these are the biggest, you know, businesses out there. So there was a narrative to that. So of course, and now we're, you know, years past of them exploiting the waste of producing oil and making it a pharmaceutical industry, because they needed to have the school that had the educated professor that was talking about the miracle drug derived from the bypass of gasoline.
Hey, well, look at. I want to get back to the homie's question. I'm gonna go ahead.
But just to finish off the chat, is that we can't trust their institutions or their books. We're people, and people treat people a certain way.
Right.
And that's what we look at when we look at a warrior. Daniel, finish. Would you?
All right, so check this out. I'm going to try to wrap it up as quick, but dealing with his question. So I have a degree in psychology and human development from this Cal Poly State University. Okay, so I have a degree in psychology, and so I mean, I'll tell you. I'll say this. You know, I also know the Mexica perspective, and the Mexica perspective has Tezcatlipoca, and Tezcatlipoca has 8 Tezcatlipocas that are really, you know, a lot of what psychology is. Now, my science-based, you know, psychology is very ethnocentric, coming from a European perspective, and so that's what the European does. The European will look at you and kind of set you up kind of the way they see the world. And I mean, if you're not European, you don't fit in that construct of reality, because I mean, I've had a white cop tell me, "Oh, racism doesn't exist." Well, at first I was pissed about it, but then I thought to myself, "Well, fuck, you're right. If you're white, it doesn't exist." And so they're breaking down a reality that's their reality. Now, if I could say it any more real, it's like they make TV. They make black people TV, and it's all white people writing all the shit that they say. So you think about that. That's part of their reality. And so I have a degree in this stuff, but I mean, here's the thing.
But
Ruben,
grace,
I mean,
and I simplify it, and I think that's why we have a good relationship, me and Daniel, because he does come from an educated background. But just by I come from an uneducated background. I went to ninth grade, 10th grade max, but doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent. I mean, I think I've built businesses that were millions of dollars.
well, Ruben, here's the thing. That's what I was getting to. Is that look at part of the reason that we're what we have in our history is that you guys might not know this, but Zero was the owner and proprietor of a business that took care of people with mental disabilities, and so he got a hold of me and I said, "Hey man, I need you because you have a degree." So I got in there, and him and I, we took care of people with mental disabilities, and so and I think that back to the question, really is funny is that like all of our stuff that I learned didn't mean anything. What meant everything was us connecting to our patients and then understanding them, and through just our life experience, man, to help them reach harmony, and I just think, man, it's just funny. Like people look at you, Zero, and they don't realize, man, how many years this guy dealt with people with mental disabilities, man. And I think it leads us into where we are today because,
I mean, that type of work really taught me how to communicate.
brother, it's the warrior path. It's the warrior path to lead with your heart. You know what I mean? And it's just we come from a people that lead with our heart, and so it's just something that I just think it's funny because people. It was a good question. I think but it has a lot of references to us, bro, and how we live. Because
Right.
I think I'm a mental health, practitioner or professional, but man, I really use Mashika approach to everything that I do. It's not. I mean, my degree gives me the authority, but it's really the Mashika that deliver my ability to be successful. And I mean, Ruben, I was good at what I did because I loved the patients, man. If you lead with your heart, man, you could really make a difference.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
did, you did.
And then, that the warrior path, really, to be honest with you, is the one of most sacrifice. It's not the brave person. We have this Hollywood version of like what the warrior is. The warrior is the most fit. The warrior is the most bravest. The warrior is the first one there. Yes, all those things. Yes, all those things. But
Well, Zero, I want to.
but wait, let me finish this real quick. The warrior is the most disciplined, right? When the elder sends him off to battle, he takes the advice that the elder gave him very serious. Like, you need to be up before the sun, and you need to burn this tobacco and this chanupa. You need to do that to help you when you go to battle. So he had to be disciplined. He couldn't be like, nah, I'm not, all right, that was good advice, but nah. That's a serious thing. It's not easy to get up at sunrise before it's not easy to get up at sunrise disciplined in that way.
Yo, shout out to everyone out there has a degree. Sky, do you have a degree?
I do indeed have a degree.
Oh,
what?
shit.
A degree in communications.
Dope. And what school did you go to?
I went to the enemy school. I went to all Jesuit school, Catholic school, Loyola Marymount University.
You're funny. Hey, brother, they're all the enemy.
So,
I just don't like the
did.
university structure, the hype, the marketing behind it, because there's different levels, right? There's community, there's Cal State, and then there's the UC system. And like it's just such a competitive, money hungry system, Zero. Like me, I'm a high school dropout. I barely escaped through high school. Like I'm like 10 credits shy of like getting my diploma. I just never went to like night
Oh
class to
man,
do
that's
it.
terrible.
That's terrible, right?
School of Hard Knocks.
But
is
it
some
just school
comics,
wasn't for
real.
me. And like
School of Hard
school wasn't
Knocks.
for you, right, Zero? It just wasn't for you.
I mean, no.
Hey, but wait,
I
hold
just
on.
finished-
School
I just
wasn't for me
finished- I just-
either, Armando.
I just
School
finished
told me,
saying
"Get
though,
the
like,
fuck out."
like we gotta really like understand that anything that Europeans brought in terms of education, in terms of spirituality, in terms of science and math is off. It's off. You can't interject the zero into a number system that was built by a Roman philosophy.
Yeah.
You can't just go, oh, wow, the zero means nothing. So that means we need to put a zero because it's, we're going to make it so 6 zeros means 1 million. Like, have you ever seen Roman numeral? They're written super fucking long. Super fucking long.
They're written like words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they can't, they come and they learn these things from our ancient culture, and they think, oh, wow, I get the concept of zero. It means nothing. No, it's a completion of a cycle. It's the sum of the whole. It's the everything that starts again. That's what we meant by 2012.
Right.
Is that we were going to hit a zero beginning of another cycle. It wasn't the end of the world. It wasn't. It was for us to find our warrior path. And what's that warrior path? To be as disciplined as you possibly can.
Right.
To leave the colonial structures and ways of nourishment, math, science, everything. Because we know that science, it has nothing to do with a white lab coat and chemicals and the mixture of all these things. Science is an obsessive observation of something that's showing you in nature. Those stars don't come in position just because. It took us thousands of years of just focusing on a space until we fucking go, yes, right there. Common science.
Hey, Ruben, I'm going to break it down to kind of a simple observation, experimentation, discover, and then creation. It's a process, It's like a baby. Shits its pants, realizes he's got shit in his pants, cries, realizes someone reacts, experiments, discovers, and then at the end creates. It's just a human process as we are scientists. It's our nature to observe and experiment, discover those experimentations, and then create something, because, and I try to tell people, your serpent, it's in your back, is your Quetzalcoatl, and in your serpent is your ability, to just vibrate, from that serpent. And so that's that, it's just in our nature to be scientists, and whatever it is that you follow. And I mean, I think you're right, Ruben, about our discipline, because, it's kind of, some people can say, oh, the university system and but if you've gone through it, you're a little better qualified to say, hey, you know what, this system don't work, because if you've never gone through it, well, it's easy to say that's caca. But if you've gone through it and then you say it's caca, it's a little more weight. And remember, we're the people that speak the word. We're not the one that write it in our, and that's the way it is. We vibrate, at the level of that frequency of our oral tradition.
And by no means am I saying anybody that wanted to invest time, money, energy into a 4-year degree. You learn a lot of things being a young adult, being on your own.
You learn how to save money.
You learn how to get a job. You learn
Right.
how that experience. If you want that experience, go ahead and get that experience. That wasn't offered to me. I wasn't good at it. I didn't. If I did, I would have been graduated from it.
Hey, but Ruben, hold on. I'm going to interject. You have a learning disability, and your learning disability set you back.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, and I as a
I mean,
teacher,
it did, and it did from achieving certificates in these institutions.
For
But
you, it was a speed bump, Ruben. For you,
but
it was a speed
I
bump.
fucking created businesses. I mean,
Right,
I created. I went. To record Jaguar Prophecies, I had to learn how to be an engineer. That's why I went to school.
Yeah, no,
So I
bro.
fucking
That's
had to
what
go
I was like.
learn
Hey, I fuck
how to
with that
use
guy.
the equipment, and then I had to learn how to use the beat maker, because I had this vision of making this group that was going to talk about the upcoming time and the shift of 2012. This is what it was. And I got all this in the Sweat Lodge.
And you have a track called 2012, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I produced one
you produced it, right?
for Vic. Yeah, that was called 2012. And it's just...
That was dope.
It was good music.
There's a reason why, there's a reason. What I want to do is kind of contrast what we think is science and what Europeans think is science. What Europeans think is science is really alchemy.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
It's really alchemy. It's not science. Science is observation, but like a relentless observation. I don't like it when they go, we did a study of 50 people and we gave them this pill and, 10 of them reacted and we studied no, all of them reacted this way because we studied for 2 months. The study was 90 days. That's not nowhere near the amount of time that you spend in the type of science that our ancestors had.
Right.
They're going to eat this herb for 100 years before you determine that this herb can do this thing for your body. It's not. Their ingestion of that herb is a silent communication. That is all science. What Europeans do is they mix chemicals and they're alchemists. They're trying to do a formula of nothing, a formula of greed, a disillusion of this reality because they come from so much trauma.
Right. Right.
No judgment. They come from a shitload of trauma. I mean, the Holy Crusades, whatever they've written about that's fucking insane.
That's no joke. Yeah, it's no joke.
And people think it's over. People think that shit's over, but it's not over. It's fucking not over. It got better.
It's going on right now.
Yeah, but Ruben, you got to think about something. It's just simple origins. Okay, is it the Pilgrims? What did they tell them in Europe? What did they literally tell the Pilgrims in Europe? They said, "Hey, this is Europe. This is our way. Love it or leave it."
Yep.
Literally, they told the Pilgrims, "Love it or leave it." So what's the caca that the Pilgrims today will tell somebody who's from here?
But I think now that we're here, we can kind of talk about something or kind of lean the conversation towards origin. And we're talking about blood and how recognizing the power of one's own blood and the history the blood coursing through our veins, like the power that we possess,
Right?
Because we're carrying the energy, the knowledge of our ancestors. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and Zero about that? And
like that type of wisdom is transferred from the woman, right? Because that woman is giving the fetus blood, right? Because it's giving it a communication. It's giving it its hormones, giving all those things that it needs to develop itself because it's attached to the woman, right? And I've shared this with people at the store at Malinali, that there's a system of communication coming from that woman to that baby. In other words, if she's treated bad, the fetus is going to feel it, right? Through hormonal distribution. Because I'm sure that the mom gets mistreated and hormones go through her body and then boom, right into that baby, right? And that baby goes, oh shit, what is that? It must be something, it must be unsafe. But that's the first layer. There's other layers. And those layers are the blood that we're talking about.
And I was going to add in, Sky, that Tezcatlipoca, okay, the literal symbol for Tezcatlipoca is two serpents swirling up. And so, are you familiar with what the two serpents symbol is, or have you seen it anywhere else?
I'm used to seeing that on like an ambulance on the medical.
Yes,
you see that
right there. Right. So health, it's your health, and so Tezcatlipoca is literally your cosmic memory that you read through your blood. And so Tezcatlipoca is a literal. You are your ancestors at your cosmic level, which is what you're saying, but it's at the cellular level, at your blood level.
It's not in a thought.
It's not.
Not in a thought.
Here's the beauty of it is, I know, and like when I was studying psychology, they talked about how genetics, and our traits will change, but it's a span of like 50,000 years, 50 to 40,000 years for genetics to change, and so it's like, oh, okay, that may change, maybe give it 10 or 20,000 years, but these are just numbers that they're, but again, too, it's in our DNA.
They're all theories. They're all theories that they're a bunch of bullshit. But going back to the memory part of things, right?
Yes.
Because like you said, the symbol of Tezcatlipoca, which is a memory, right?
Yes.
So then right away we think that the memory, when we say, oh, the memory, right away you think of your brain.
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
The memory is in my brain. No, it's not. That's the RAM of the computer. It's not the memory. You know what I mean? It's just a place where it gets stored. It's not the hard drive, is what I'm saying. It's not the hard drive. It's just the RAM. If anybody knows what computer is,
Right.
RAM is the memory.
Random
stored.
access memory. It's
Yeah.
a random access memory.
It's just a
What you
compartment.
use the most.
It's a compartment. It's just a little compartment. That's the brain. The hard drive is the blood. Because that surface communication came from your mom into the fetus just to tell you that you're having an experience. Be aware. Feel things.
Hey, and I'm gonna
Life
add
is gonna change. Life is gonna change for you because you're developing in this womb. But that's the first surface of communication. What I've come to realize through my life experience is when I put self-imposed trauma, I went a deeper layer. That means sweat lodge, Sundance. I'm not a Sundancer, but sweat lodge ceremonies. I participated in the Sundance. So I had my own sacrifice in there. You get to deeper layers of your blood lineage. And it has nothing to do with race. Yeah, they had a facial structure, but it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the wisdom they collected and passed on. There's a reason why Cuauhtémoc said that one day we would return. Because it's in the blood. It's not in the mind. Go for it, Daniel. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, okay, so think about something. Okay, now somebody had also seen in the chat, and it's true. Part of Tezcatlipoca and psychology is our dreams, because Tezcatlipoca is the energy that takes over in darkness, which is the absence of light. And I've learned in psychology, they say that if you don't dream, those are the people that have a lot of mental issues. And so dreaming is a form of us to kind of release a lot of our stress. But we know in the Mexica path that in our dreams is where our medicine comes to us, that our ancestors visit us in our dreams, and they come to us, like you said, through our DNA. And I was thinking about, too, the double helix. If you think about it, Ruben, it's kind of interesting because you look at your heart and it's a double helix because part of your body is shooting red and the other is shooting blue. The red side's all the oxygenated blood, and the blue side's all the non-oxygenated blood. And so it's just kind of interesting. Even the temples are blue and red, and just like that comparison of black and white. So they're the dualities, life and death, And so again, Genhu and I was talking last time that in our creation, in our life, that the sun, which is the creator, represents death, because through death and life are these two that dance together. And that's could also be what the double helix is. It's about life and death balancing until one of them chooses not to play anymore, and that's when we die. When our cells don't reproduce anymore, then it leads on. But again, too, this is all part of the warrior path, because the warrior is following that path. And I was going to add this too, because we haven't said this yet, but man, the warrior first and foremost is probably a woman, because she brings life. And so that's. And I think in the narrative, a lot of times it's the man, and no, man, it's the woman. The woman is the one that comes forward, and we as men are following that warrior path.
Yo, shout out to everyone watching right now. Make sure you guys like the video, share the video, comment on the video. It'll help us out tremendously on YouTube. Shout out to the chat. It's super lit, Zero.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, though. Is like, it's not a race thing. It's what you practice. It's what you practice.
It's beyond race.
It is. That's a part of it. Like, I come from that region. I'm proud that I'm that. But
Ruben? What I think.
Hold on, guys. We gotta be calm about that, because I lose my train of thought. I want to be respectful to you.
Right.
I want to be respectful to you. And I know that we jump to these ideas, and that's what I'm talking about. Is like the discipline of being patient, is when I say that not in a disrespectful way, I just want to make sure that everybody's clear. We are elements combining into a structure, which I call a vessel, but we're all air, water, fire, earth, experiencing life. That's why when we pass, we let go of the emotion of our life, which is what they call memory. But we get back into it because we flow with nature. Because death is is a place of rest and
Right.
infinite transformation for us. So the warrior's path is to be as disciplined as possible on every aspect of his life, his emotions, his diet, his exercise, his strategy, his intention, his will. These are the sacrifices that we do. And I've come to learn that after 25 years of taking that warrior path. I lost a lot of things. I'm losing a lot of things now, but I need to be focused. And how can I tune my frequency to focus it into LA natives or my children? Or first of all, actually, let me rewind. How can I focus it to be into my children so it could show in my community? By working on me. By knowing that I have a certain discipline. I have a certain practice. I have a certain belief, which is following the Tonalamat, which is fasting for 5 days every year, for eating once a day just to keep my strategies in this colonial perspective. My strategies need to be sharper than any obsidian arrow. Every time I make a decision, because I've lost a lot of things. It's a serious thing for me. The warrior path. It comes with a lot of sacrifice. You don't know what you lose when you ask for that. But I chose to be that. For 25 years, I chose to be that. No matter what. That's why we have Malinali. That's why we have Plant Pestaslan. That's why we have LA natives. That's why we have these things. It's a warrior path. Anybody who listens to LA natives right now, you're on a fucking warrior path right now.
Absolutely.
It's up to you to figure out what that discipline is.
And we could tell just by the chat alone, right, Daniel?
Yep.
What's up? What's it saying? What's it saying, Sky?
We got a lot. Let's start with the Spiral website. Can you go up a little bit, Mondo? Let's see. They said the U.S. is a eugenics project.
Good point. Shout out to the Conscious Chicano. Shout out to Spiral.
And you know what? Immortal Technique talked about that. Immortal Technique said, I got this information. I started thinking about it, just putting it in my perspective. And he said that there was plantations. There's cotton plantations, peanut plantations, but there was also a lot of human plantations where they would breed certain, as soon as a slave or anybody in captivity was a menstruating age, they would mate them with whoever they thought, you know what I mean? Like, so there was that that's what they call eugenics, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The mixing of DNA through sexual intercourse or whatever, having a baby. They did a lot of that stuff. But I don't give them credit for everything. They don't know this. Daniel.
Well, I was going to say, what was their point? What was the point to all that?
Exactly. That's my point. Is that there was no point. Dominance, a dominance that they're going to have forever, not real. Not through our ancestors.
Right. I mean, but the thing is, though, too, Ruben, I think that a lot of times and this happens, like you were talking about discipline, man, and I realized that my life changed once I started to really have discipline, and it's kind of, I would just say it's like I was luckier, but no, I wasn't luckier. It's just that when you have discipline, you take advantage of opportunities. You have, you're ready. And I just think a lot of times we just lack discipline. But again, too, it's better to be the role model of discipline than to tell people, you got to be disciplined. It's just different, so.
Well, the discipline comes when you, I can only speak for a male. And that's why I'm very desperate to get a female's perspective on our show. So, I'll mention that. Not, just I know I can't speak for them. I'm not going to speak for them. I'm not going to.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to go, hey, fasting and eating once a day and doing the nemotemi. That's for you. I can't speak on that. I'll never say that. I can. And in terms of me being a male, I can only hone in on what I know. Right. And I know that males need to be disciplined. Right. Not by the Spaniard version of discipline where I'm going to beat the shit out of you, but inspired to be disciplined. I try to inspire my children to be disciplined. It doesn't always work, but I would hope that one day they look at me and they go, fuck, my dad's fucking, he knows what's up.
Hell yeah.
Without having to go, get over here and listen to me, and you're gonna fucking listen to me because I said no. I think that that's the way. In the past, we lived to our full potential. We followed that warrior path as best as we could, and whoever was around us admired that discipline, admired the humility, admired the decisiveness. That's what we admired. That's who I admired. And that didn't come from my grandpa teaching me that or my cousins teaching me that. It's something in my blood. Have you ever felt that? I just know, right? I'm not going to trust. In my own experience, I'm the only one experiencing this reality right now. Because I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're feeling. You're outside of me.
Hey, but Ruben, I'm gonna add in, brother. You're a really good father to your kids, man. Your
Thank
kids, like I see your relationship with your kids and you, and I think, man, I'm very proud of you. You know what I mean? It just I don't have kids, but I mean, like you've done really good with your kids, and I just think, you've accomplished a lot, and I trip out, because it's like, anybody who has an offspring, that's your greatest creation, and like, what other reason does the warrior have? Because one of the main reasons that the warrior exists is to protect our future. And what's our future? Is our offspring, our seeds, And so, we've, and I feel blessed to have seen your kids grow and blossom into the people that they are, and I think that's really the greatest contribution I think that you or anybody can do is to raise your kids and to make this world a better place to your children, and you've just done, you've done a good job with your children. So I just say, I was a teacher. I've worked with a lot of people, and like, I'm just, man, trips me out that, dude, you're really good with your kids, and so that's something that, man, I just can't emphasize enough. It's where you put your energy,
I could vouch for the same thing, man, because, man, when we were young, we were driving our fucking parents insane, bro. God damn it, Zero. Getting kicked out of middle school, high school, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know your kids never went through any of that.
No, well,
They didn't.
It was a different generation. Like, my parents were always at work. They were just trying to survive, right, Zero?
Yeah.
They were immigrants.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably
in this new country,
busting their ass off,
learning
16
English
hours a day. Yeah, absolutely. And then you guys meeting friends at school areas and all that stuff. But being a good dad's a sacrifice, man. I appreciate all the love that Daniel showed me, but it's a huge sacrifice. But it's worth it.
It's just an observation, brother. You know what I mean? I just observe.
It's totally worth it, and I thank you for observing that. And sometimes we need to hear that. We need to hear that's But it comes with sacrifice, man. Like my dad died when I was 9.
Right.
My dad died when I was 9, and my dad left before I was born. So there's already the fetal trauma that comes with life.
Hey, but Ruben, I'm going to add this. I remember you would tell me stories about your grandfather, your father, that he would take an engine and fucking take it apart just to put it back together again. And
that's my grandpa, yeah.
But that's you with your engineering, like going in, learning this, and dude, do you hear yourself? You're the same dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. The spiral continues, you know, and I kind of trip out when you say that. I think to myself, dude, you remember that story about your, you know, because
Yeah.
it's funny. I know I'm my dad, and like I struggle with that, but man, how can I not be? You know?
Yeah. No, and we're our parents, but we get to decide, not them. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like I was explaining this at the store too. It's like a single cell, right? A single cell splits itself to create two,
Right?
right?
Right.
But it had to take the elements from the first cell. So it's a pretty much a copy of what the first cell is.
Yeah, but then it dies, brother. It dies
Yeah.
in you know what I mean? It
Right.
dies in the offspring, and then it
But
becomes yeah.
but I mean this probably dies because it's true.
Yeah,
When you get older, you die.
yeah,
So you're in the last part of that phase, right? When you split, you're in the last part of that
right,
phase.
right.
Yeah, it may take days, weeks, hours, minutes, seconds. We're talking about cells here.
But it's just nature, Ruben.
But when
It's
we
just
pull away, this cell is pretty much the same as this cell, but this cell gets to go, but I get to go left, and I get to go right, and I get to go up, and I get to go down. This cell goes, no, follow my path. I know what I'm talking about, right? But it's on its way out and it's going to die. The point is that we're our own experience. Ultimately, we're all just air, water, and fire combined in a body, feeling emotions, feeling happy, feeling sad, getting successful, feeling failure,
right,
right?
right.
And then some fancy people come and they invent these things, and we go, oh, we're black. Oh, now we're Republican. Oh, now we're Democrat. And now we're this. It's all a farce. Anything brought by Europe was to exploit you forever. That's
Right.
in the doctrine of discovery. You are to be put into perpetual slavery. What is perpetual slavery, Daniel?
Man, list all kinds, man. It's when you're in your head, man. You live in your own prison,
Right.
you know, and you got to get out of that, man, because it's all time.
Perpetual slavery. That means forever.
Well, yeah, but it's here's where it is, because man, is it Bob Marley that said that? You know, it's like, man, those that choose to close your own mind, like that's, you know, that's a tough place to get out of.
Right. And so, since if the doctrine of discovery was written and it was written about my people, that's why I wear the mask and it has 1492 on it. Right. Because apparently that's when they wrote the doctrine of discovery around that area, around that time.
Yeah, right when they found everything.
Right. You know,
You know, right when
Well-
everything was new, you know, like if you think about Ruben, such a fucked up mentality to just show up and say, well, now on, everyone's gonna speak like us, talk like us, and if you don't look like us, you're part of nothing. You know, it's a weird. It's almost like Hollywood started the script from then. You know, and it just you know,
and even that narrative of their story and them coming, and then there's a certain amount of time that it took for them to take over. I mean, I don't believe liars. I just don't believe liars no more. I don't want to even try to think that
hey, but
that's the truth.
Ruben, okay, good point. You know what? My
Because
friend did
once,
this.
first of all, our concepts of time were not yearly.
Right, right.
They were not yearly. You know, they're done totally different.
Hey,
We
but
had
Ruben,
13 days we had 13 energies that we followed. in
Right.
Atonalama, and there was a 260-day calendar that started again in the same year. Totally different concepts. So
well,
the
Ruben, we
narrative,
followed nature. We followed nature. But think about Ruben. We followed nature. Think of nature, Ruben. Where in nature do they follow the liar or the loser? Where in nature do they do that? You look at
right?
the
Well,
tribes.
we
You look at
right
the
now we
herd.
are following them.
Well, I mean, that's
We
the
are
thing. That
following.
you know, we can't do that. And I mean, it's just thing is like to think about it. Nowhere in nature does nature follow the fool. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't do
Okay.
that. And it's
So
just
let's. So then I'm going to take the perspective that I've learned, that I've applied to my life for over 20 years, and since we're saying we need to follow nature, and people get lost right there. What do you think it is?
I think the first mistake is that we separate nature and humanity. We don't see it as one.
We follow nature, right? Following
We-
nature.
good point.
Even just to hear like follow.
I know, but
nature,
when I
that's-
tell you follow nature, what do you mean? What do you think I mean when I tell you follow nature? What do you think I mean? I'm talking about I'm coming from the scientific perspective, but the common science of our ancestors, right? Not the colonial alchemy that they come and they bullshit about. What do you think follow nature means?
I think when you ask me that or follow nature, it's like follow oneself, but I mean, even that sounds like so up in the air, but I think it goes back to the discipline, right? So follow the discipline that's there, but I have to uncover it.
Okay. You don't. Good answer. That's what you know. That's what you mean when fallen nature. So I'm gonna give a perspective, Daniel, and then you could
Okay.
finish up after mine. For me, I understand that the Aztecs, the Mayas, the Toltecs, the Olmecs, they had a different perspective, right? And so to follow nature meant exactly what it's saying. We're using the colonial tongue, but what does follow nature mean? When the sun comes up, you follow it. And when it hits 12, you follow it. And when it goes down, you follow it. That's nature, right? Isn't the sun a part of nature? And
For sure.
so when the sun comes up, I hear the birds. That means I need to wake up. That's following nature. It has nothing to do with a book, a doctrine, a yogi, a shaman. That's the big lie. Don't we all get to see the sun?
And that's what I was getting at. And I think is that
Right?
that's mentality of that we separate like modern day now. When you say follow nature, it's like, oh, it's out there, right? I gotta go to the forest, right? I gotta do this. Like it seems so foreign. It seems like a foreign concept.
No, it's a color. It's a color. It's golden sunrise. It's the blue of midday. It's the orange of sunset. They're colors. Follow nature. Listen to birds in the morning because it's going to stimulate your blood like it stimulates the flowers to go,
Right.
oh, it must be time. Follow nature. That's what it means.
Now, someone in the chat is asking, do you follow seasons?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the next one. Great question. Okay, how do I follow nature? How do I follow nature? Oh well, Daniel, do you want to
the
add to
seasons-
what I
I
said?
was just saying, I saw something in the-
Commercialized seasons are not your seasons, right? Like this, like it's Valentine's
No,
Day,
not
right?
like holidays. None of that shit. No. I'm gonna tell you how we follow seasons, but go ahead, Daniel.
Well, I was gonna say I saw something in the chat. It said really good. It says nature has its secrets, but it does not lie. I like that because
It doesn't lie because it doesn't talk to you in words.
and I mean for
It
me
doesn't talk to you in words.
right, and for me it's what you say. Okay, so I'm a gardener, so I'm actually I go out and I have to deal with the houses, and so the weather affects me. Like I'm actually watching the weather, but then being an actual gardener in my garden, I'm dealing with certain plants that are some are finicky, some are going through issues, and so when the rain comes to me, it's like nature's medicine. When my plants are struggling, the rain comes, and if I leave them out in the rain, it just gives them like a rebirth, and so like I see that. And so it's interesting because I do follow the seasons because I'm a gardener. Certain times of the seasons, I have to put all my plants in certain times of the yard or certain parts of the yard because they just thrive in different environments. And so, as I see the sun and I understand it, 'cause when the sun's out, oh, the plants are happy. But I think about it, I'm happy too, and my dad's happy. Like he wants to sit in the sun, and even the dog, she wants to go out, and it's like, that's following nature because I'm really when it rains, I collect the water. When it's sunny, I mean, I'm very much akin to the day and how it comes. And I feel blessed where I live in the Bay Area that I think we're very in tune with our environment, and so I think again, but I think it has different meaning for different people, but I
Well,
know for me it's
But someone says I'm being specific about what I've applied. Remember, we're talking about discipline and applying things. This is it. There's specific instructions that they left. They're not like you said, Daniel, they're not complicated.
no.
They're not complicated. The math is not complicated. The science is not complicated. The spirituality is not complicated. Neither is the art.
Right.
None of it is complicated. What we try to do is we complicate it because we're believing idiots that
Right.
don't know even what the concept of zero is. They never had it. They don't understand it. They don't know what the concepts of nature and the seasons. They never followed it. They never had it. How do we commemorate it? I'll tell you how I do it. This is what I do. This is what I practice. I can only speak for myself. But every year I fast for 5 days. That brings in the spring. That's how I follow the seasons. I fast for 5 days and I bring in the spring. On the 21st, I burn a fire. Then I go to the equinox. And on the equinox, I burn a fire. And then on the other solstice and on the other equinox, I burn a fire. That's when I send my prayers. That's when I shoot my arrows at this colonial structure. And I bring forth my dream and reality. You damn right we follow nature. You damn right we follow the seasons. Our abuelos taught us how to do that.
Right.
They taught us how to do it, and there's much more sophisticated ways of doing it. But I'm going down to the basics. Everybody can get up early and watch that sunrise. I do it every morning. Everyone can find themselves at 12 noon and go look at the blue of the sky.
Right.
Everyone can be disciplined enough to know sundown. Take a few minutes. Look at the gold. It gave you a gift.
Right.
It was called the day. What did you accomplish? How did you connect? What were you disciplined about? This is the way I talk to myself now. This is the way a warrior needs to talk to himself. He needs to get his mission done, no matter what happens in his life. You made a commitment to something more deeper than that. And that's defending, admiring, cherishing our ancestral path. When I asked to be healed, this is what it showed me. Showed me that. The fucking hardest road you'll ever walk. You sure you want to go down it? Yes, of course I do. Anything's better than this shit.
Yeah. Amen. So true.
I don't give a fuck if it had 50,000 mountains. Anything's better than this shit. Bombing children. Genociding our people. Poisoning us with their pharmaceuticals. Misguiding our youth. Anything is better than this shit. That's the warrior path. Discipline. Leaving colonial things alone. Having the heart to do it.
Yeah.
Not following Valentine's Day and spending hundreds of dollars on chocolates and flowers and shit. Shout out to everyone that did it.
He's doing it right now too.
But the thing is, is that how you're supposed to show love for one day? That's some weird marketing, right?
Hey, but brother, I'm gonna say something, man. The Mexica used to show that they cared for people by giving them chocolate. It was one of the ways that they were, showed that they cared about you. So I think it's really just, again, too, is a cultural appropriation at a level that's just, so far gone that you don't even get it anymore.
I'm just like driving everywhere, going to all the stores, and they're just like, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this flower, buy this balloon.
That's not love. That's not love.
There's a heart,
assumption,
right?
That's not business.
That's not love. Buying things for people is not love. I know I did it.
I think we all have.
It's not
We've
love.
all,
It's not love. You know what love is? Love is knowing that person. That's what love is.
Love's what you do. It's not what you say.
Not knowing a specific day on a calendar that's so off. It's just completely off. So we're going to follow this day that tells us to love the most important person that sits next to us, that sleeps next to us, that had our children. That's not love. That's not love. That's not love. I'm glad we are only spending the 2 seconds that we're going to spend on this exaggerated day of love. Love is putting your life down on the line. You know what love is? Love is realizing you have a family and leaving alcohol. That's love. Love is saying, I got arrested for drugs and stopped doing them. That's love. Love is way different than buying flowers and chocolate. Another thing they stole from us.
And they convinced women throughout the world that, hey, and if you don't do it, you don't love me.
Yep. It's tough. It's a cold world.
Right,
Whole
Daniel?
world. Unless you got money.
But, shout out to all the homies that are watching that, show their
We're
ladies
holding it
love
down for
today,
the ladies.
that are taking them
Shout
out to the steak dinner
No, but I
tonight.
challenge that too, though. I mean, don't just give them flowers.
Hey, but you know what, too? I wanted to
Don't just
throw
give
in.
them chocolate. Don't just give them chocolate.
Hey, but I wanted to
You
throw
know
in.
what you should do? You know what you should do? You should try to think of something that will make her smile for hours. That's love.
Right.
Yep, that's a great alternative.
Hey, I was going to add from my the book of John Meany. It's the Aztec Virgin. It talks about the Mexica, and they had 13 that they talk about different types of love, and so and I mean, if you just think about it, for us, love is very defined, but for them, it was just the way the Eskimos had snow, the Mexica had love, and so just the different, and that's why
It's like love. Like, what are you guys laughing at?
Somebody in the comments, shout out Ruben Crow Feather. He said, "My baby cooked me a bomb steak hookah emoji."
So that means like it was only today. I'm taking that homeboy that your girl went all out. She cooked the steak only today because tomorrow no steak for you, buddy.
Hey, bro, but that's all
Leftovers
good.
for lunch, right?
No, but I mean, I'm not trying to rain on.
No, but
people's- I'm
shout
not trying
out.
to rain on people's.
No,
attempts,
that's I love that comment. Like,
that's solid. That's solid.
when
Hey,
I
no,
get
shout
home,
out.
when I get home tonight, best believe my lady's cooking me dinner.
Good stuff, and you all deserve it, man. I'm not trying to rain on the parade. I just told you the decisions that I made in my life, And sometimes I break them. Sometimes, when I had that person in my life, yeah. But I don't know that at one point it has to end.
No, I think you bring up a good point because as a man, I think you have to ask yourself if you're in a relationship with somebody. It's like, what am I really doing? Do I really love this person? Am I really willing to put it all out on the line like that? Is it more than just material gifting?
Yeah, think about Valentine's Day, Armando, and Daniel, Sky, and Chat, and LA natives out there. Imagine we go, look, we're both native. Let's fucking sit down right here, and let's talk about this day on this day, right? Do you feel like? And if she goes, yeah, since I was a kid, I always loved it. And then as a warrior, you should be listening, not judging.
Right.
Just listen. Right? Or maybe she's like, yeah, man, I always felt it was bullshit too. Yeah, this is fucking bullshit too. Yeah, cool. Blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, it's like we're in clear communication. That's the bond of the DNA, right? Is that magnetic steps that we take to bond with each other. So being clear, not just guessing or following along. It's just being clear. Let's talk about this. You know what? I really like Valentine's Day. You know what? I do too. That's why I got steak tonight. Cool. I'm not judging. There's no judge here. I'm just telling you what I did for my road, right? And I like to be clear with people, especially a person that I'm going to say, I'm looking to her eyes, I'm going to say, I love you. You better be clear.
Yeah.
Shout out to the homie Ruben, dude. He just said, yeah, his Valentine's Day gift is washing the dishes tonight.
Hey, dry out. Make sure you dry them.
That's
Put 'em-
love. That's love, my
They're
boy.
just good intention, good intentions.
No, honestly, I think Valentine's Day is a complete scam. They force feed it to you as kids in these elementary schools that you go to.
You're right.
You're in second grade and they're telling you, who's your Valentine's?
I wasn't even just that. It was too like, man, this pressure. Like, okay, you bought all the little gifts for everybody. Like, man, okay, Sky, he didn't get anything. It's like, damn, I gotta get somebody something. It's like, damn, at second grade, third grade, it's like,
Yeah, like
Pressure. Already,
I went up to my mom. I went up to my mom as a child. I was like, Mom, do I need a Valentine's? Like, do I need to talk to this girl when I'm 8 years old? Right?
Yeah.
Hey man, this is kind of weird, but I feel kind of out of place here. But I remember clearly, like bringing my mom bought me like all of them, so I had a Valentine's for everyone in the classroom, like, and we had little packets that we made, and everyone gave them out. This was like third and fourth grade, but I grew up in Sunnyvale, California.
No, it's the same out here.
Yeah, I
It's
was the
just
same
that-
way. Same way.
It's
Yeah, I was
just that,
saying,
it's
like,
just that you already feel the pressure of buying not only one person chocolates and flowers, but you got to buy the fucking whole class
Right,
a
right.
little lollipop.
The little, yeah, taped on there, write everybody's
true.
name.
Well,
And,
I
what-
just-
and if you didn't celebrate Valentine's at these establishments, these schools, these prisons, like you would get fired. I would think, like they just it's a narrative that they want you to push every year.
Yep.
right,
You know?
right. Not
But
the worst
I feel
always.
victim. I feel victim. I had to take my wife, a box of chocolates.
That's a
Right.
good thing, though.
But hey,
That's
at least
not-
I ate a few of them. So
Yeah, yeah,
Can't
by
remember.
Sanho. Oh man, yeah.
shout out to all the viewers. It's at an all-time high right now, Zero. The chat is lit. We're getting everyone telling us what they're doing for Valentine's. Did you guys do anything on Valentine's? Chat, add a comment.
Absolutely.
Let us know what you're doing or what you did
Hey,
for
man,
Valentine's Day.
Shout out to the chat. Look at that shit. That shit's lit, man. That
For
shit.
real.
I mean, people are engaging. I mean, let's try to read off as many as we can before we go on our
We have
way.
a good group, man. They're a
Yeah.
good group. They always got good. Yeah, always have.
Yeah,
good
and look, and speaking about holidays or days in the chat, someone's like he's already spent hundreds of thousands just on Christmas. Man, Zero, that's how they get you, right?
Yeah.
You have kids, right, Zero? Like
Yeah.
you fully understand, man. That's embedded in people's just lifestyle.
Yeah. But
Your kids are expecting something for Christmas.
well, but the cool thing is that our children know who we are. They know how we view things, so we try not to get too crazy with it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can't help it because like Lawi's is the luckiest one because he has
That's
older
true.
brothers. And his older brothers, like they're like older. They're like 25. They're older, and so he got gifts from it looked like he hit the lottery and shit. But but we try not to be in that mode at all. And definitely now with my new changes in my life and things that I'm completely 100% like I can't continue on my road and not follow what I'm saying I'm doing. And even if it's on that level,
Yeah.
even if it's just a slither of something, like this year from now on, like I used to burn my solstice fires and my equinox fires with my family, but now I want to do it with my community.
you know what? This is so dope. There's a comment right here saying for Valentine's Day, there's a couple chilling watching LA natives.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
He loves everywhere.
That's the best gift you could
But
give.
but there's a comment right here. Shout out to the homie Joaquin. That we all have to realize these are. Do you agree that these are colonizer holidays?
Absolutely. I'm not saying that you should celebrate them. I'm just saying that sometimes
Another comment right here. Why don't we celebrate like Chicano Day or Mexica Day, or what was that?
First Nation Day.
First Nation Day.
well,
Like how come those holidays or any other holiday?
because that's how
on the
much we
Australia-
hate ourselves.
Exactly right. Exactly.
That's how much we hate ourselves.
Exactly, man.
That's how much we hate ourselves. We
God
love
damn it.
their Christmas because it makes us feel good that we're able to buy things for people and we kind of feel white for a second.
Yes.
That's a good way. That's a great way of putting
Right?
it.
But if we loved ourselves the way
You just
we
want to
love-
fit in, right? That's the thing, right? Like we have to fit
But
in.
if we that love that we're talking about to fit in, if we gave that back to ourselves, them assholes would want to be us. Because they would know that love comes with your abuelita preparing tamales for hours and hours and hours. Your sisters and brothers and cousins are happy, make the pozole. I mean, everybody's laughing, but we don't focus on us like we focus on them. Because we hate ourselves.
Right.
We hate ourselves. But that's in the general sense. You fucking watching LA natives, you're not that person.
Hey, but you had two Ruben
You're
Allen.
not. You're just not that person.
Shout out to the homie Raymond on the chat. He's clearly not. He's saying in Phoenix, Arizona, they're celebrating Arizona's 112th birthday today,
Perfect.
and also tuned in to LA Natives
Nice.
tonight.
But what I
Shout
meant
out.
by what we hate us, I'm not saying that I don't want to make this a debate of any kind. I just want to make sure that you know that anybody watching this is not that person. But in the general sense, that's why. Because imagine if we had a general sense of love for each other. There's a reason why, though. What do you think the reason is why we hate ourselves?
I think it's based off solely off comfort and ease. It's more comfortable to worry about someone else than it is to about oneself. Right.
Right.
It's not an easy thing to do. To
No.
look at oneself and say, "Damn,
and
these are
again,
my problems."
Yeah. And you know what? That I'm gonna highlight that for next year. Anyone that asks me for a Christmas gift, I'm gonna ask them straight. I'm gonna tell them straight up in their goddamn faces. Yo, do you hate yourself? Well, thank you, dude. I ain't getting you shit.
Oh, man. Hey, listen, I wanted to comment something too, but I look at this. A chat says a lot of Chicanos First Nation people cried when the 49ers lost the Super Bowl.
Hey, man.
Now here's the thing. Can I say
Man,
I'm
I
a
didn't even know
fan.
who was playing in the Super Bowl. To be
I
honest,
understand.
No, and that's good, Ruben, because when I met you, you were all about the NFL.
Yeah, I
You
used to be.
definitely-
I just woke up. I woke
No,
up.
I
I mean,
mean,
there's
you've
like
come
a
a long way.
wake up that's like,
but the thing is, like, what Daniel just said, Zero, that era of sports was way better than today's era. I think it just was more, I guess, more intriguing. Maybe they were just better athletes. I don't know.
it's just, it's once you start to realize that Roman philosophy, Roman spirituality, Roman sexuality dominates American culture, you start to see the Colosseum. You start to see, all these things that are.
It
I
gets
was,
too
I
real.
was,
It gets
I was
too real.
obsessed
You
with
know what I
the-
mean? And I'm like, dude, I
Yeah.
can't participate.
It gets
in
too real for
and
you.
that's what I mean. Little by little, you start to decolonize. You start to put a different focus, and that's why I think it's important that when you choose a partner, make sure that. And since we're talking about love and relationships on this day, that doesn't mean anything. They kind of just invented it, so we'll just make it clear. But I think it's deeper to take this day and instead of giving a gift, find out deeper parts of your partner.
do that tonight, guys. There's a lot of people tuning in. Listen to Zero.
Find deeper parts of your partner.
Yeah.
Connect with that. Make that be the bond, not the chocolates, not the flowers.
Hey, but you and two Ruben
We
Allen.
should have been
But-
talking
but-
about
but
this
really-
since the beginning of the show, Zero, because the chat is lit right now.
But really, that's the time. That's that time right there that we're talking about right now to get deep with someone like that. That's the time that's why the warrior puts his life on the line. For that moment. She's a woman. She's delicate. She's soft. It's not time to be tough, and that's the time that's what you're protecting right there. That's why when you turn around this way, when you turn around away from her, she's at your back. You're protecting her. With what? With your intellect, with your discipline, with your strategy, with your bravery, with your strength. Just so you can have that moment. The moment that Daniel describes of love. That's the moment. Don't waste it. Don't synthesize it with, oh, here's some nice flowers. I don't know what to say. Not like that.
But Ruben, as natives, we love to give, man. We're very
I'm
good.
laughing at the comments because they said, I will admit, I did watch the Super Bowl. First time in 12 years.
That's fine. Hey, but the thing is, though, as a warrior, when your heart, when you're into something and you hurt, it hurts, man. When you have a warrior, your heart hurts. So I relate to people that are just hurt. I mean, I don't share the same sorrow, but I can relate. You know what I mean? But a warrior, when their heart hurts, they hurt. And they're not trying to hide it. Because as a Mexica people, we live with our heart. We resonate with our heart. And so some people, they go all in with their heart. And kind of got to respect that too, but sometimes
No, but as you have to go in that way. That's what we're talking about. But you don't go in like, it's kind of like
Yeah.
a young gazelle,
Yes, Gardner in
in,
the Garden. Yeah, I
a,
like that.
a young gazelle in the Serengeti, wherever on the plains, you know, he has to learn how to keep a pace, how to be in the front, how to even challenge to be the alpha male of the herd. You have to learn how to do that. So, yeah, I don't. We go all in, but now that I'm older, I know that I go all in with strategy. I've learned how to pour it. That hurts, but that teaches. It also teaches. It teaches you that you're valuable. It teaches you to be very strategic about who you want to have those type of conversations with. It's not a free for all. We talked about this earlier. Remember at the
Yes.
shop where we were trained as young men to go for sex, like the hottest girl. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want the hottest girl? So you could say that you what?
Yes.
It wasn't like, hey, you got the hottest girl because man, she really broke it down about our culture and she really it wasn't that. It was like, oh, I got the hottest girl because I banged her.
Yeah, she had the goods.
Right? That's the end of the movie. That's the end of the movie. That's not the whole movie. And that's how they keep us demasculated, low frequency, hunting for things that don't exist. Because our energy is low because we go to the end of the movie.
Right.
We need to go through the movie, have great times, have great moments, have great connection, have great conversation, have great trust, build great things. Oh, wow, now I'm at the end of the movie.
See, and I feel like that's where the new generation, there's really no time for that anymore. It's really just about the outcome now.
Right, because TikTok is the most famous thing right now, but it's about temporary videos that are not even, they're like, it's almost like they went, hey, fuck the shows, fuck movies. Let's just give them commercials, TikTok. And that's what we watch.
Yeah.
We watch these fucking 2-minute, 1-minute commercials that
It's-
tell us about love, that tell us about our mental disorders, that tell us about the conspiracy theories, that tell us about all these things. It's like that's why the younger generation has that outlook. And it's very simple to go to the end of the movie because all you have to be is beautiful and attractive and there, the in the movie, Gary, blah, blah, blah. But when you go to the end of the movie, you realize that fucking movie is a horror movie.
Yeah, it's scary. Right.
That fucking movie was the most scariest movie I ever fucking saw. I don't know if anybody's ever been in that situation. But you go to the end of the movie and then you go, oh shit, I'm in a horror movie. Fuck. What the fuck? I wanted to see a romantic comedy.
Right.
It's like our perception as a warrior, our discipline is how we lead.
And you know what's crazy too? And like in the movie, it's called the climax, and
Yeah,
sex,
right.
the climax is
Right. The best it's gonna get.
Right? And then look, we watch all these movies. You know, you're in a long relationship, you're watching this movie. Wow, that sunset. Wow, that vacation. Wow, she really loves that guy. Man, oh my God, look at what she's doing for him. Oh my God, my God, my God.
As an
The
artist,
movie ends. You didn't go to the sunset. She didn't cook you a meal. She didn't, bang you in the elevator. But you look at your partner and you go, damn, I really love her. It's like you get programmed with all this illusion and then turn to her and go, none of that happens in our relationship, but I'm going to give you credit for it because we watched this movie together.
are you a movie buff? Zero, as a musician, or as a rapper, as a producer, a lot of artists in the hip hop game are movie buffs.
Right.
I think I'm very critical about my time. Like, I I don't find
That's real. That's real. Because you spend a lot. If you watch movies, that's a lot of time.
Exactly. Like sometimes I'll like to tell you the truth, I haven't watched any prime time or Prime or Netflix or any of that shit since it's almost going on 9 months.
That's dope.
Not, I don't know why. I just haven't, or maybe I know why, but yeah, I don't find to write lyrics. You know where I find to write lyrics? I like art, picture art.
Good influence.
Right? And then I take that art and I take that documentary and I take that understanding and I take that book and I take that audiobook and I build a puzzle and I put it together and that's my art. It's not just one. It's not. I think it's like that's why genres sound the same is because they go, all he has to do was fucking look at gangster movies and let me do it.
Because there's millions of references of film in hip hop.
Right.
I agree. Yeah.
But I've always noticed your music, Zero, you hardly ever do that, if not ever. It's not based off that, or you don't get any influence off that.
Because I refuse to be a part of pop culture.
But I believe it's more of a like for example, with my relationship, I always tell my lady, like, hey, I would rather see a documentary than a movie. That's how I am.
Right.
If I'm gonna waste my time watching something, but she thinks I'm fucking crazy.
Well,
I'm just a documentary head. Maybe you're a documentary head too, right? Like, it's more interesting. It's just.
Hey, but brother, when
you agree with it or not, like I respect artists that make documentaries. I think on a whole different level, man, because they're not falling onto like the whole acting thing.
But we're talking about two very different personalities. Because remember, I told you, males are strategic. So when you look at a documentary, you're learning something, right? So you're trying to apply to your strategy. Women are emotional. So they want to see a fallen love story, a tragedy, a hero.
La Rosa de Guadalupe.
All that.
Maria de la Barrio.
All that drama.
Novelas.
And exactly, that's how
I grew up in a house of just novelas.
But who usually watches that?
Right?
Who usually watches the novelas? It's
My
a
grandma.
female. It's a female. Why? Because novelas are catered to emotions, and females are catered to the drama of emotion and cheating and all that stuff. And males, like, if you show, like, even the most, paisas of dads or whatever, you put something and somebody's building a house or something and you watch him, he's just like, oh shit, okay, that's how many woods it takes, okay, because he's learning, he's strategizing how to do things, that's a male. I've been recently, kind of coming to this epiphany, is that a male's power, strength, attraction to anything, or what he uses to attract is his strategy. Is his strategy. See, I learned that from watching old Mexican men who just know how to build shit, but they have a certain strategy.
Yep.
They already, I get the wood there. I have a box of nails. I have a hammer. I'm going to do this. It's the strategy. And then the female goes, oh, wow, he did that. Oh, wow, that was pretty cool. I could sit there. I can organize things in there. Oh, now I can use there. Now we're cooking there. Now we're eating outside.
Yeah.
That is a bond. That is love. Not this day. This day is a day. It's a day gifted to you. They had a golden sunrise, a blue midday, and a beautiful sunset. The frequencies of nature, that's what we seek as a warrior. Because it's, even in nature, it's violent. Like, there's death there.
Yes.
There's danger there. But living in harmony in the chaos is the warrior's path. To do that harmony, to live that harmony in chaos, you must be disciplined. You must have a practice. One that you developed yourself. One that you took from other great warriors and created your own warrior. It's time. That's what I'm trying to do. Not with the iron fist of a Spaniard, but with the gentleness, focus, humble, loving warrior who protects love at all cost, even if it means his life. To go deep into the partner that you sit next to and create a connection like Daniel was explaining of the two serpents twirling around each other in perfect harmony, not distorting each other, not lying to each other. That's love. We'll see you next week. La Sucamatli, Mateo, Tunansin.